Dan here. Oh, poor dog Speed Shop. He had a little leg surgery today, so he's a little druggy. Hey, buddy? But he's good. Anyway, we're talking Tri-5 Chevrolets. Shocker, I know. So we got 3 cars in here in all different manners. And people have been talking to me lately about Tri-5. I don't know what's going on lately. People are sending messages about different cars that are up for sale, looking if I have any cars for sale. People are asking me non-stop about this one being for sale. Are we paying attention to the dog or the talent?
And just make sure he doesn't pick at his...
He's fine. He's too high. So anyways, I thought I would help out the entire world, because that's what we do here at DD Speed Shop.
Relax.
But we're going to talk Tri-5 Chevys here just for like a quick buyer's guide. So depending what you're trying to look for and kind of what you want to spend. Danny is either going to yawn or sneeze. Anyways, Franklin doesn't like that Steve's out here. We have a whole dog situation happening. They're like a unit. We got to watch this guy right now.
Frankie was very upset when Steve went to the vet without her.
She was not happy about it. Anyway, let's talk Tri-5 Chevys. Now you gotta decide what you want. There's kind of obviously a few different models, 5, 6, 7. Everyone has their favorite year. No one likes 56s. Then you gotta decide how much money you want to spend.
So just 5, 7.
5 and 7, that's all that really matters. So you gotta pick and choose now. Do you want like a 4-door? So the cheapest one you're gonna get, 4-door sedan, just like this. Then, I mean, maybe a 4-door hardtop would be kind of next. Then you can get into a 2-door sedan. Then I believe a 2-door hardtop. Then, I mean, convertibles, nomads, stuff like that. Within reason, I'm sure you guys can place them in any way you want, but ultimately, if you're trying to find a project car, that's probably where you're gonna be. Now, unfortunately, these cars have skyrocketed in price for some reason. I bought my first 4-door, which came with a 4-door, a 2-door, and a 4-door cut up into pieces, which I'm still using parts left over from that. Don't lick your foot. And I think I paid $3,500 for it. Danny's car, which was a 4-door 57 Bel Air, much similar to this, in very nice shape. I think it was $700.
That's so crazy to think of.
And that was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe now, 5 years ago. And now this one was $4,000, had no motor, no transmission, arguably in the same or even a little bit better shape maybe than your 57, depending how you want to look at it. This thing already had disc brakes on it, had a 10-bolt in the rear with the brakes, so yeah, I'd say it's nicer. If you took Danny's car and had these parts on it, let's say $2,000 5 years ago. Anyway, that's that. Now, so in my mind, I think $4,000 or $5,000 is a decent deal on a solid 4-door. I might add that 4-door behind you on the rotisserie was $1,000 or $1,500, something like that. And then this junk 2-door, which didn't have any front sheet metal, it was all cut up. I think I paid $2,000 for, which I think was a deal. Now it's all welded together, but obviously at the time, it was rough. So now when I say solid, let's go over to the board here. There's a few things to look for Tri-5 Chevys, and the most important one is the floor pans. So Tri-5 Chevys, the frame runs inbound. This is where the frame would be. Without fail, all these floor braces always rot out. Without fail. So you can buy a full floor pan, which we have in stock over there. They're probably around $1,500 now for a pan, and that'll be right from this pinch weld here on the toe board, and it'll go all the way back where it kicks up to right there. So you're gonna place the whole thing. A lot of times I cut them here, but I use everything else. Now, if you wanna kind of piece this all together, which we're gonna do on this one, just for like an exercise in affordability, we're gonna make all these braces, and we're gonna make the inner rockers, we're gonna make the outer rockers, make some floor pans and all that, and try and just do it out of junk sheet metal as cheap as possible. This isn't really a keeper for me, it's more just a can I do it situation. Now, if you're gonna buy these things, which I have done, they sell all these braces, and they're, let's say $50 US, $50 to $75. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one they sell just end caps of here and here, or you can buy the full brace and there are more. I'm just talking end caps. So now you're, what did I say, 5 at 50, so $250 top and bottom. Inner rockers are $100 a piece, and then they sell all these pans. Here's a pan, here's a pan, here's a pan, here's a pan. So if you go to piece this together, a one-piece floor will be cheaper. Now, all that being said, it's a lot of work. Floor pans on these are a lot of work. Again, the frame is gonna be right here, so you're trying to cut out in here, get all this, like look at this one. This is where the frame is, and it's rotten right there. You're never fixing that without taking it off the frame. So in my mind, a one-piece floor is more affordable. Now, we can get to it easy on this side, we're gonna fix it. So floor pan, floor pan, floor pan. Are you okay, buddy? Seen the pet? Was he licking his foot?
Yeah, I was pointing at him to tell him not to.
Don't lick your foot. So that, and then the other thing that's famous on these things is the back trunk floor. So they sell the section, which we've put in a couple of cars. I put it in that 55 actually. So it runs maybe, I don't know, 12 or 15, 18 inches. Floor pan, they only rot out right here. In this little section here, I don't know why, junk gets in there and it rots out. It rots out the floor pan. It rots out this back little piece here. Oh, buddy, he's so drugged. And the hard one that rots out is this brace that runs all the way down, of which this one is also done. So it's a 3-piece sandwich you gotta fix there. So those are the biggest things to look for. So every time someone's like, oh, look at this car. What do you think of this car? Car. How are the floors? If the floors are junk, I'm not saying it's a bad car, because every one I've ever had almost, hey buddy, I have replaced the floor pans on, and that's just the way it is.
Well, and is it sort of a gamble you have to accept too? Because I mean, you can't really like, if you're going and buying a car in a field, you kind of have to just accept that that's the gamble
So
you're
you guys know
taking.
what you want. 4-door wise, in my mind, a 4-door with good floors is probably $4,000 or $5,000 plus, running and driving maybe $7,500, which sounds ridiculous, but that's a complete car. This one had all the trim on it and everything, and this is a $1,500 car. These are both 4-door sedans, same thing. That's what that is. This one didn't have disc brakes on it, has stock rear end, but otherwise pretty similar. This one had worse interior. There's a few things there, but you got to pick and choose what you want to do. So if you have $1,500 and you want a lot of work, there you go.
$1,500, all of the bird poop? How much was this one?
I think it was $4,000.
$4,000, no bird poop.
So that's
Or
that.
dead bird.
Now that being said, this car is not perfect. It's right on the verge of having a few issues. So floor pans and rockers. Can't say that enough. The next place they tend to rot is actually in the door or in the window. And this one has all the Bel Air trim, so you can't really tell. It's just starting right there. You see there's a little tiny hole right there. So they rot out. All these things have windshields in them, and actually this one is, I think, in good shape, but it doesn't have a windshield in it. They rot out there, right at the bottom corner. Yeah, that one's in good shape. Again, fixable, but pretty big job. That one's whatever. So you gotta take the glass out, and then you gotta, kind of weld this little section in there. Be aware of that. 4 doors. Dog legs always rot out. This one's head's fixed. The dog leg will rot out all the time in a 4-door.
Dog leg.
Oh, dog leg. And this one, I think, yeah, I already fixed it. On both sides. Same thing. They rot out all down here. This is a panel. That section always rots out. On 2 doors, 4 doors, it's all the same. These Tri-5s they don't have any wheel tubs, so they get junk everywhere. 5 and 6 fenders, they rot out all the time. So what happens is there's no inner fenders. Well, there is inner fenders, but it doesn't cover the actual inner fender. It's just kind of like a splash pan, I guess, is more what it would be. So all the road grime goes up. It sits in this little, oh, this one's full of, oh, gross. Did I get stung? Anyway, it gets full of junk
that, please,
in there.
Steven.
He just wants a little honey. It gets stuffed full of junk in there. Come on, buddy. You're just a disaster today. Okay, I'll kick it away from his bed. So they always rot out. This one here, they're just full of filler, you can see. And a good set, Steve, seriously.
Well, now you made it tempting.
A good set of fenders, guys want $1,000 a fender. So be aware of that. So that's kind of the The long and short of those are the big things to look for. Frame rails, I mean, we're talking old cars now. They do tend to rot over the axle where the diff is. All the time they get rotted out there. Without fail, I don't think I've ever had a Tri-5 that doesn't have, and the front frame horns, it's been stuck and it's been pulled and it's been tore, something like that, but you just hammer it back and weld it. So those are kind of the big ticket items to look for. Trim, I'm not gonna lie, as I've learned many a time now, buying a Nomad with no trim and then buying a two-door hardtop without trim, oh my God, expensive. Buy the car as complete as you can, or buy it so cheap. And I think I heard that two-door hardtop was $1,200 or something like that, and it was still an absolute money pit. And I had people like you guys donate things, find things for me, send me things. It's unbelievable.
Or every car has to be a 2-lane car and there's no trim.
Or it's going to be a patina car. And a lot of people, that's what they always say, like, oh, patina car, ratty car, whatever, build something nice. It's not even a matter of time or money. It's sometimes just finding it is hard to do, and it costs so much. Like a set of glass on a two-door hardtop is like $1,500.
Our dollar is 64 cents right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just talking like real American pricing here. Yeah. When I put the glass in the Nomad, I got a deal because I gave the guy, said, here's where I got it from. And I think it was still $1,700 by the time I got it Canadian. A deal. It went like $2,500. It was crazy. So trim, complete, all that, I cannot stress that enough. Now, there are certain things you can cheat and play with. So obviously, actually it's a perfect example, a 55 4-door and a 55 2-door sedan. So like I said, this car was $4,000. It was too nice to be a parts car in my mind. That being said, if you wanted to fix that car up, you couldn't buy the parts you need. You'd buy this car. Because this thing didn't even, when I bought this for $2,000, it had no fenders, no hood, no core support, no nothing. This one, it's got a nice hood, it's got nice fenders, it has disc brakes, it's got all that, it has a decent rear end in it. All that could go on this car, and I bet you'd be money ahead. The dash is the same. 2-door, 4-door, hardtop, doesn't matter. They're all the same for the most part. Maybe there's little differences here and there. All that could have been moved over. Bumpers, taillights, headlights, all that. Basically, the only difference is what's going to be, between here and here. And honestly, this car is nice enough. I hate to say it, but you could chop the quarters out of this thing. You could chop the taillights. You could chop everything out of it, the deck lid. You could use all these to fix that car, if you so choose. And honestly, that's what I did when I did my first gray car, that 2-door conversion. I was, new at it. I took a ratty 2-door and turned a pretty decent 4-door into a 2-door. Looking back, what I should have done is scrapped the 4-door and turned it into the 2-door. But such is life. The 2-door I got, the frame was rotted. It was rotted all up in here, was junk. Like, it was rotted in weird places. But, anything is fixable. And again, a lot of this stuff could have been transferred over. It would have been probably a lot more work. But ultimately, it would have been a quote-unquote real 2-door versus the 4-door. But for what I'm doing for it, I just enjoyed it. I don't have any regret to it whatsoever. But that's something to be aware of. All the other stuff, like this car here, it looks like a 2-door, or it looks like a 55, but it needs so much. And if you don't have a parts car, just the headlight bucket is $100 a side, or $120 a side. I bought a couple of them when we were jammed up trying to go for power tour, because you can't find them so now every time I find them, I keep them. They're different 5, 6, 7. But again, this is out of a 57. That's why they're not rotted. The 55s rot because all the stuff ends up in there. 57s actually, there's an opening at the top of the fender where the cold air comes through so they don't rust. There you go, a little tech tip. So those are the big things you got to watch out for. Otherwise, hey, everything else for cars and stuff like that applies. We're talking about 70-year-old cars. Stuff's going to be rough, stuff's going to be rusty, stuff's going to be all those things. But Tri-5 wise, there's endless things to look for, but like I said, floor pans, the rear trunk section, this little area in here, those are, I think, the ones that are deal breakers, if you want to call it that. The next level is obviously the rust situation. The dog legs, they always rot out. Up here rots, and then down here rots out as well. The bottom of the fenders. They sell patches for all those sort of things. Those can all be fixed. Just with how much time and money and effort you kind of want to put into something. That's kind of that. These Tri-5s, for whatever reason, maybe it's just where we are. If we were somewhere close to like Cars Inc. or Real Deal Steel, maybe stuff's a little bit cheaper, easier to get, but it's unbelievably expensive. Like I said, a used fender at $1,000 bucks. I think a new one's $1,000. A door shelf for 2 doors, $1,000 a piece. Quarter panels, when I put them on the Nomad, they were $1,000 per quarter panel, and I think now they're $1,500 or $1,600 a quarter panel. It's just bananas expensive. The only thing I think is reasonable is the floor, and even that. That being said, I bought the full floor for that Chevelle. I put a floor pan in Satellite. I put a floor pan in, did I put one in the Camaro or just, I forget what I did there, but I don't know if I put a full floor in. It all blends together. So much cheaper, like so much cheaper, like half or a third the price. So there you go. Be aware of all those little things. If you can find these little trinkets here and there, I say buy them. Some people don't know what they have, or they just, you know, it's kind of worthless to them. So buy it as it is. But again, I firmly believe if you're just going to get into one of these things and you don't, you know, have a whole lot of time or a whole lot of money, save up, buy the best car you can. Which does kind of go with, I mean, that's the way you should do any car. I'm not gonna lie, if we weren't building these things on YouTube and I was actually trying to build a car for myself that was gonna be a keeper, I'd have spent $10,000 and bought a car that was probably running and driving, and some idiot had already done all this work on it. Danielle in the back.
So with that though, how do you make sure, because we've seen this happen, for example, with like the short box conversion, where you sold it for a reasonable price and then it just like went crazy. Like, how do you make sure that you're not going to fall victim to that?
We're talking like a two-door conversion scam?
Well, not two-door conversion scam, but just like that you're paying a reasonable price for a car. Like you see somebody list something for like $27,000 that should not be $27,000.
I think that's the classic. There's a sucker born every day, or buyer beware, or whatever it is. That's why I hope this video can maybe help that out. Be really aware of what you're trying to accomplish, or you're trying to buy there. There's a lot of cars out there that are pretty honest. I also think that there's a lot of people out there who are very honest. And I try to be honest when I sell things, and I always expect that when I buy it. That being said, this car actually, a little fun story. So the guy I bought the car off of, we bought it and this and that, and he was showing me videos of it doing burnouts and stuff like that. It had no brakes, like tied it to the hoist and everything. And then, we take it apart and there was no oil in the diff or whatever. He texts me, he's like, I didn't know there's no oil in there. I have another diff here if there's a problem. I'm like, I didn't care. I wasn't, and I hope he didn't take it that way. That was trying to like throw him under the bus. That's just a good guy. And I'd have done the same thing. I'd be like, whoa, I didn't know that. I sold it to you saying it was gonna be good. If it isn't, let me know, right? But that is, there's greasy people out there, right? If a car's running and driving, you go up there, make sure the motor's cold. You can physically touch the exhaust. It's not warmed up and all these things, because it's gonna smoke and it's gonna make noise when you first fire it. Like, those are like buying a used car 101. This is just, specifically Tri-5 stuff. So there you have it. If you have anything I missed, put it in the comment section, because a lot of people read those and maybe there's things I overlook. I'm not gonna lie, I do buy absolute garbage. So I know I look at things and go, oh, it's not that bad. And people go, you're crazy, sir. And they're not wrong. But again, like little things like, the bird, that's expensive. This hood bar are impossible to find. Hoods are impossible to find now that aren't complete junk. I've been looking for parts for this thing for a while. To the point now where I've had want ads up for probably 6 weeks, haven't been able to find anything. It's probably just gonna go outside because there's no point in carrying on. Like it is what it is. It needs a little bit of work underneath, but I'm kind of done with it until I find more stuff. Either I need to find a 4-door, and I'm contemplating there's a 55 4-door for $2,500 for sale, rougher than this one, but kind of too nice to be destroyed. I'd almost rather just pay $2,500 to a guy who's miscellaneous pieces and build this car and keep that four-door together, because I'm a softie at heart when it comes to four-legged animals and four-door cars, I guess. Anyways, make sure you leave a comment below. Wish Steve well. Hey, Druggy? We're gonna go get some plain cheeseburgers. That's his favorite, and he deserves it, eh? Hey, guy? Okay. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.